At TMZ, we've covered a lot of stories regarding sex cults, regarding sexual assault allegations, and I've never seen a case much like this. Now, I gave a trigger warning a few videos ago, and people got very upset at me in the comments for that. And it's not that I don't think you guys can't take it, but I just think, you know, it's better to err on the side of caution. Guys, my name is Jakson Buhaj. So let me get into what I want to talk about today. She was Chloe Sullivan on Smallville for 10 seasons, but behind the scenes, Allison Mack was living a double life as the second in command of a sex cult. And now she's breaking her silence about the branding ceremonies where women were held down, stripped naked, and had symbols burned onto their skin. Allison Mack gained fame portraying Chloe Sullivan across multiple seasons of the television series Smallville. However, during her time on the show, the public remained unaware of her deep involvement with NXIVM. Now, this was an organization that presented itself as offering personal development workshops and executive coaching programs. According to court documents and investigative reporting, behind the veneer of self-improvement, something far more sinister was taking place. Now, Mack had climbed the ranks to become Keith Reneer's top lieutenant within the cult's hierarchy. According to a new podcast titled Allison After NXIVM, Mack is finally sharing her account of what transpired within the organization. Now, the details she provides are deeply troubling. And as described by Mack in the podcast, women would show up at a residence without any advance warning about what awaited them. Now, once there, they would be instructed to remove all clothing while other members physically restrained them, and as she explains, a cauterizing pen would then be used to permanently burn and scar a design into the skin above their pelvic area. Now, according to Mack, the procedure lasted roughly 20 minutes, performed without any anesthetic relief or topical pain relief. But here's what makes this even more disturbing. Allison Mack didn't just watch this happen to other women. She went through it herself, and what she did immediately after reveals just how deeply the cult had broken her. So, Allison Mack tells a story about her own branding, and the way she describes it is almost casual. She says she showed up at a house on her lunch break, got branded, and then immediately went back to teaching an intensive course she had been doing that day. She says, quote, "My body was like shaking in shock, you know? Like, obviously my body was still trembling, but I was so good at like cutting that off and just focusing on what I was doing." She goes on to say, "I'm just not going to feel this right now. I'm just going to dissociate completely and be somewhere different. I don't know when or where I developed that survival mechanism." Now, you've probably heard that the brand contained Allison Mack's initials, and for years, the accepted narrative held that the mark combined Mack's initials with those of Reneer. And according to Sarah Edmondson's memoir, Scarred, Edmondson later exposed the cult's practices and documented that leaders initially told her the symbol represented natural elements. And as she writes in her book, she only discovered later that it actually spelt out KR and AM. However, as stated in the podcast, Mack now disputes this interpretation. So what exactly was the secret group operating within NXIVM's larger structure? According to court documents, DOS functioned as a clandestine women-only division inside NXIVM. Reneer created both the group and its name, which was a Latin phrase, Dominus Obsequiis Sororium, meaning roughly master of the obedient female companions. According to court documents, the system operated through a master-slave hierarchy. Mack recruited women from NXIVM's broader membership to serve under her authority. Now, according to Edmondson, she was among those recruited. These women faced demands to carry out whatever instructions their masters issued, which they complied with over an extended period of time. But what were these instructions? They included coerced sexual encounters with Reneer, being forced to produce explicit photographs, and surrendering compromising personal information as collateral to their superiors. Now, this collateral consisted of deeply damaging secrets. According to victim testimony, it was information devastating enough that its public release would destroy their lives. The threat of exposure kept members bound to the organization, creating a prison of fear around any attempt to leave. Now, Reneer maintained that he played no part in DOS's operations. Now, the podcast, however, features audio from Reneer's conversation with journalist Vanessa Grigoriadis, who was preparing an article for the New York Times before his arrest. During that interview, Reneer denied any connection to the group and echoed Mack's current claim that the branded design didn't include his initials. However, audio evidence contradicts his denial, and Mack herself captured it. Mack actually recorded a conversation during a walk with Reneer, where he guided her in designing the branding ceremony itself. On the recording, Reneer instructs, and the person should ask to be branded. He continues, she should say, please brand me. It would be an honor, or something like that. An honor I want to wear for the rest of my life. So he's literally coaching Allison Mack on how to make the victims ask to be branded, how to make them feel like it's an honor to be mutilated. This completely debunks his claim that he had no involvement. Now, the legal consequences they face reveal who authorities determined bore primary responsibility. According to court documents, Reneer received a 120-year federal prison sentence in October of 2020 following his conviction on racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Now, the judge imposed a $1.75 million financial penalty the following year. Another judge added a $3.46 million restitution order for his victims. But Mack's outcome differed significantly. According to court filings, prosecutors brought federal charges against her based on DOS activity. As reported by multiple outlets, after entering a guilty plea for racketeering, she received a 3-year sentence. She completed 2 years before gaining parole release, and Mack is now attempting to reconstruct her life. So what do you guys think? Was Allison Mack a victim of Keith Reneer's cult? Did she get off too easy? Let us know what you think below. As always, I'm Jakson with TMZ, and I will see you in the next one.